Hey guys, it's Brandon, and today I'm going to we're gonna rife through my sketchbook. I've had a few people ask me to do like a little tour of the sketchbook. Who am I kidding? I need another video to put on this YouTube channel, so this is the video that I'm making. I call it a sketchbook tour. At least that's what the YouTubers are calling it these days, I believe. Anyway, so we're gonna go through my most recently filled sketchbook, and we're gonna take a look at things. So, a couple things before we get started. This is a long sketchbook. I use Moleskines. I use Moleskine sketchbooks because they're good for me. They come in different sizes. I like the leather feel of it. I like the hardcover. It's perfect. It's perfect for me and then what I do. But what I have done is that Moleskine makes a sketchbook. And typically a sketchbook has 104 pages. Because the sketchbooks that Moleskine makes for art reasons. See, the pages are super thick. And there's only 104 of them. But what I had done is I got on Amazon without doing my research or reading the fine print and ordered a blank Moleskine book, with blank pages. And then when it came in the mail and I opened it, I realized that the pages were meant for something else, but not art because the pages were super thin. So I didn't want to waste a sketchbook, so I drew in it. But having said that, there's 192 pages, so nearly double the art is in this little guy. So what that means for you guys is that you might as well go change and put on some pajamas or something. Like, get comfy because this will be a very long sketchbook tour. It's gonna be 30 or 40 minutes. Sorry, but don't say I didn't warn you. All right. Here we go. So, the story behind this guy is that I started this new sketchbook around October of last year because it starts with Inktober of 2017. Now, what about Inktober? Inktober is I'm going to say pen and ink, but it's an art movement made by Jake Parker. For the month of October, you draw one ink drawing a day for 31 days in a row for the whole month. So instead of October, it's Inktober. Get it? Anyway, the point is just to get you to do a 31-day project and to do one thing every day. And if you do this one thing every day, obviously you will get better at it. I participated in the year before and was super inspired. And so 2017, I was jonesing for Inktober. I was ready for it. But apparently, my subconscious was not, because it proved to be a challenge. Most of my Inktober posts were weak. Just being honest, they were not good. Anyway, so let's just dive right in. So Inktober, day one, the prompt was flight, the word prompt. And so I did this glitchy looking hummingbird. And it was off to an okay start. It's not bad. Day two, I don't remember the word prompts for each day, so the ones that I do remember, I'll let you know. But anyway, it was this guy standing at a crossroads between the head and the heart, and while technically it's not the greatest drawing, a lot of people responded to it on social media. A lot of Instagram responses that really dug this drawing because of the concept. So anyway, so a lot of people liked it. It was very cool. This was an idea. I think the next word was poison, and so I was toying with the idea of a kid eating, greens that he hated, and it wasn't working for me, and so I left that idea, and I drew this, which is what I ultimately used for poison. And then this is Bret Michaels of the band Poison. I thought about that for a minute. And anyway, it was funny. But wound up going with this guy. And then later on that day, or maybe the next day, a final rendition of my original concept popped into my head, and I worked out this composition and this kid and liked this drawing, so I went ahead and posted that too, just as a bonus. But anyway, so there's that guy. Here's a drawing I did, which I really dug. Zoom in a little bit there, of New York City underwater, but I put it in an aquarium, so it's not as tragic. Anyway, that was fun to do. A lot in my sketchbook. You'll see actual sketchbooks stuff, like me roughing ideas, not only for Inktober, for several other things. So anyway, this was an Inktober idea that didn't come to fruition, but you know, a little take on the Rip Van Winkle story. So anyway, didn't finish it out, but anyway, that's what I was thinking about. This, here's this next one. Again, I don't remember the concept or the word prompt, but I really like that idea. This is a martini glass. On this one, as with the picture before it, or two before it with that, I was trying to push myself to do more storytelling with images. A lot of times what I draw isn't a story, it's just an object or a design, and it's kind of like open and shut. Oh, that's cool, but it is what it is. It's a martini glass. So with this, I was just trying to bring a more story element, so you can kind of ask questions of like, what's going on here, and obviously middle school dance thing going on, wallflower. Anyway, it was fun. Here's another idea that I didn't finish. It's gonna be a snake. Here's a guy looking at art. Nothing much else to say here. There's a badly drawn owl in front of the moon. Again, I was just uninspired. This one I'm really kind of proud of. It's, of course, my pen and ink version of Ansel Adams' photograph of the Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. So really took my time and really worked on that, and was pretty happy with it. I like the way it turned out. There's the flash. I don't know. There's a trout swimming upstream. This is a guy looking in a mirror, and like, of course, he's lost half of himself, and the guy in the mirror is faceless, but he obviously has features. I have no idea what existential thoughts was going through my mind on this day. But anyway, there you have it. Didn't finish him. This is another heart. This guy, really proud of the hearts. The hearts I do because they're easy for me to do, and I've had a lot of practice, and they always turn out the way that I envision them, and so it's kind of like comfort food. Like if I want to draw something that's interesting and I know it'll turn out pretty well, or halfway well, that's a proper grammar. Anyway, I do hearts, so I think the theme was shattered for this day. Anyway, I dig it. There's zombies. I love zombies. The theme for that day, or the word prompt, was fierce, and she's fierce. Here is the mystery machine. See how thin these pages are? You can see right through to the next drawing. Yeah, big mistake. Anyway, there's the mystery machine. There's the clown with the tearaway face from The Nightmare Before Christmas, one of my favorite movies. I can't even tell you why. It's just always has stuck with me. Here's a badly drawn flower. The idea was okay, but the composition is not good. It's just boring. There's nothing interesting about that picture whatsoever. I guess had Arts Goggle on the brain. Arts Goggle is a street art fair or art event that they do every year in Fort Worth. I participate every year, and I think on this day, I was just kind of like jonesing for it. So I was just playing with the logo and messing around. Here's a backhoe on the dump site. I don't remember the word prompt. Alright, there's a fortune teller. Okay, here's a drawing that I kind of like this one. Again, can't tell you what the word prompt or the idea behind it, but it was fun to do. There's a mean bull. Okay, so here is a picture that I drew. And I did a series of paintings 3 or 4 years ago where I took marine life and sea creatures and took them out of the water and put them on land and asked them to do tricks for me. So I've got paintings of an octopus doing laundry. I have a squid making sushi. Paintings. Anyway, and so this was one of those ideas that was supposed to be for that painting series, but never came to light. But I've had this idea, baking in my brain for quite a few years. So I guess today, obviously, I had the time and the wherewithal to make it come to life. And so here it is in all of its glory, and it's one of my favorite drawings in this book. For 2 reasons: because of the detail, and I really got to put some time and effort into it, and then secondly because it's an idea that I've had for a long time that I was glad to actually put on paper and see it come to life. These are notes, but I don't know what for. This is a paddle boat off of Mississippi River in New Orleans called the Natchez. There's a ham. Yep. There's a bat. Again, I don't know. There's an Imperial Starfighter. I think that's what it's called. I'm sure Star Wars fans bigger than me could correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, I thought this was a fun one. Of a little mouse just speaking his mind. Here's another concept that I'd started and didn't finish. It's a guy that was going to be a heart, and then he's building a wall around his heart. I'm sure there's lots of meaning there, and I don't have enough degrees to go into what it means. So there's some Japanese-inspired drawing. There's Batman, because why do you need a reason to draw Batman? He's awesome. Here's the Headless Horseman. I think the prompt was like scary movie or horror or something along those lines, because I started doing the Headless Horseman and it wasn't coming out bad. I was pleased with it, but I ditched that idea probably because of time constraints, because what I ended up drawing for the word prompt was this movie reference. What's the name of that movie? I'm not going to know the name of the movie, but anyway, she's in it. She comes out of a well. There's a fly involved. I don't think the fly has anything to do with the plot of the movie. It's just weird. At the end of the movie, she comes out of the television. It's terrifying. Don't watch it. Here's a guy falling, but I don't know if he's falling down or up, which makes that drawing cool, I guess. Yeah. I skipped a page there. Here's a Statue of Liberty. She turns up in like every one of my sketchbooks at least once. I just think I like to draw her. I think she's interesting. It's like the 3rd time I've done a little sketch of Lady Liberty. This is a found poster on a telephone pole that I never finished it. Maybe I thought it was a bad idea. I don't remember. This is a kid. A badly drawn kid in a badly drawn cereal box looking for the prize inside. That, cereals used to come with toys, which is why you ate them. Not the toys, the cereal. You'd buy the cereal to get the toy, then you were forced to eat whatever cereal that you got because you had to get the cereal to get the toy. Anyway, it's a whole 80s, 90s thing. Don't worry about it. This is and totally blinked. It's opera. It's a Phantom of the Opera. Jesus. Anyway, Phantom of the Opera. You would be surprised to know is one of my favorite Broadway plays. I love Phantom of the Opera. I always have. I've always loved the music. And I think on this day that I drew this, I discovered that they made a sequel called Love Never Dies that I'm jonesing to see. It's coming to Fort Worth this summer, and I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't see it. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, so I drew this on that day. Was super pumped. It turned out really well. I really like the way it came out. So there was that. Oh, and it looks like that was the last day of Inktober. So cool. So what this is coming up next is the rough sketches I did for a big pen and ink piece that I finished at Christmas of this year. The year being 2017, last year. If you guys have been following me on social media at all, on Instagram primarily, I started drawing a pen and ink piece of art that was inspired by Charles Dickens' novella, A Christmas Carol, which everybody and their brother knows what the Christmas Carol is. So I wanted to depict a scene from it, and in this point of the sketchbook, I was just kind of working on ideas to try to get composition and figure out how I wanted the scene to look. Sorry, I'm gonna nerd out here just for a minute. So I really wanted to show the back of Jacob Marley, who's, Ebenezer Scrooge's old partner. So Jacob's here, Jacob's here, Jacob's here. I wanted him to be levitating. I wanted him to be kind of like hunched. See if I can do my hands here. I'd be a horrible weather person, meteorologist. Anyway, so you have a front coming in here, and this cold pressure is gonna push this. No, I'm just kidding. So you've got Jacob Marley here, and Scrooge is here crouched down because he's terrified. My point is that I was wanting to show the back of Marley and the front of Scrooge. And so I was working with this composition and trying to get his poses down. I want him kind of hovering over and hunched over, being this imposing, scary figure. And it wasn't working. I sketched, and I just playing with his posing. Where do his hands go? Where do his arms go? On this page, I was trying to work it out, and it wasn't happening. Obviously, from the many attempts that I was hell-bent on getting this to work, and it wasn't working. I think on this page, on these pages, kind of the same thing. I might have switched the view a little bit, but I'm still showing this perspective that just wasn't working. And then I think here I finally discovered, I don't know, it's really small. After all that sketching, a light bulb went off, and I switched the camera angle to the other side of the room. So you're looking, and Jacob Marley is facing the camera, and you're seeing basically the backside of Scrooge as he's doubled over on the ground. So once I got the perspective down, the picture came to me immediately after I flipped the camera. And then I was trying to make a decision whether I wanted to do it horizontal or vertical. I went with the vertical because the viewer is floor level with Scrooge looking up. That gave Jacob Marley that foreboding presence that I wanted him to have in the actual picture. And then I could extend the room really high so you can kind of see the rafters in Scrooge's room and really just kind of draw the viewer into the piece. So anyway, it kind of, once I switched that perspective, that viewpoint, it all came together super quick. And here I was just kind of doing a rough of what Jacob probably should look like. On this page, I looked up a couple of reference photographs on the internet, and trying to figure out what the style was for guys on that day, that time period, sideburns, you had this big puffy white scarf, and just trying to see what I wanted Jacob Marley to kind of look like. I'd read the book, or the scene in the book, through 2 or 3 times by this point, just to kind of get a feel of what I wanted him to look like and to be dressed like. Okay, so this is a heart. Again, I started doing just simple heart drawings just to have something to draw. This is one of those. This is a heart, and an hourglass dripping into a brain with a clock. I don't know what it means, but it's cool looking. This is a heart with icing on it and sprinkles like a donut. Posted on Instagram a color version of this that I colored online digitally. And anyway, it was fun. Here's a cold heart, I guess because winter started to settle in. Leaves are falling off the trees. It's probably November by this time whenever I was sketching. And anyway, autumn heart. Christmas heart, because I love Christmas. Here's just some sketches, some rough sketches I was doing. I was toying with the idea of what to get tattooed on this particular finger. Obviously, we saw what I went with, the pen nib. But anyway, I was thinking about those different ideas. This is another little concept that I was sketching out for a piece that I ended up drawing and finishing up on a separate piece of paper of the Christmas gator, which is a thing I totally made up. There's a cornucopia heart because it's probably getting near Thanksgiving. More finalized, cleaned up versions of the tattoo. A guy with glasses and scribbles. No idea. Sorry. Space pizza. Yeah. Here's a ballpoint pen drawing of another scene from A Christmas Carol. If you've seen any movie, any version whatsoever, you know what this is. Anyway, so I had Charles Dickens on the brain because I was working on this big piece at home. So you'll see another reference to it in this book. But anyway, so drew that. Tattoos. Here's that other reference I was talking about. This is Scrooge on the bed when the ghost of Christmas Present shows up, and there's a shaft of light cutting through the curtains while he's scared in his bed. This is not ballpoint. No, I think this is brush pen. But anyway, fun. This is the Jesus in the manger scene. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and some animals that I don't know what I was doing, but I never finished it. This is literally a pen and ink drawing of my dad's old truck that sits in the back of their property to this day and is overgrown with all sorts of greenery, and it looks a lot like that. This is a heart that I didn't finish. This is a rabbit that I didn't finish because it looked like a creepy rabbit until I reworked it to make it look like this. This was in a response to another art post, an Artstagram account that I can't remember the name of. It's something about stories. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, they wanted you to portray like one of your favorite folk tales growing up. And my grandfather told me a lot of Burr Rabbit stories. So this was one of those, Burr Rabbit and the Tar Baby. So that's the story I depicted. And this rabbit looks even though he's mean, because he's about to punch him in his little face, he's mean looking. He's certainly not creepy like this guy. This guy looks like, nightmares. All right, this was calculations for a big piece I'm working on right now. This is a glitch heart that I actually filled in more recently, but it's in the middle of my sketchbook because I discovered I had an empty page and I can't have empty pages. This is a badly drawn flower for an art prompt, whether it was for ArtStew or for another Artstagram account, I'm not sure. This was in response to an ArtStew word prompt, which the word was boat, but obviously the subject matter is more about the fish. But anyway, I really like this drawing. It took me all day to draw during work. And anyway, it's super cool. I love the detail. I really had a lot of fun drawing it. So that's one of my favorites from the book. Unfinished drawing number 5622. Unfinished drawing number 5623. Plans for something. An avocado with a heart for a heart. Clever girl. Okay, so this is, I'm sorry it's taking so long. You guys, I told you it was going to be long-winded. Anyway, so this is recent. I started doing 10-minute sketches where I will sit down put 10 minutes on my timer on my phone and then just start drawing and try to get it completely finished in 10 minutes. I do this 1, to challenge myself, 2, to make myself draw something every day, and 3, to be consistent with social media posts on Instagram to keep my audience engaged. So I started doing these little 10-minute drawings. This was the first one that I did. This was the second one. This is the third. This one is an abandoned billboard that has nothing to say. Not abandoned really, it's just not being used. This is actually from a photograph. There's several of these around my town. I photographed them as well. I'm obsessed with billboards that have nothing to say. I can't tell you why, I just am. There's a succulent plant. This is the other thing, one of the other things let me try that again. This is one of the other subjects that I am obsessed with. It's overpasses. I could go into why I love them. Aesthetically, they're just pleasing for me. I love them. They're huge. They're these man-made feats. They're just blocks of huge concrete, and we drive on them every day without dying, and I think it's amazing. Anyway, I'm obsessed with overpasses, so I draw them. This, I was introducing a little bit of color into my sketchbook, so there's some koi fish, 10-minute drawing, mixtape, 10-minute drawing, because I'm an 80s kid, words, St. Patrick's Day, 10-minute drawing, I love St. Patrick's Day. This is a concept drawing or concept art for a piece that hasn't come to life yet, but it will, based on Louisiana. So I just needed to get this idea on paper, so there's that sketch. This is a tree and some clouds because I like to draw both. This is a tattoo idea for a buddy of mine. He hasn't got it tattooed yet, but he's gonna. This is a drawing inspired by Ed Ruscha, who is one of my all-time favorite artists. He inspires. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. It's gonna be a loud sound. Maybe that wasn't as loud as I thought. But anyway, Ed Ruscha, you should look him up. He's a popular artist. He inspires a lot of my work, indirectly and directly. This was a complete ripoff of one of his paintings. I had a book lying around with this stuff. Here, I have to show you. So, I know, a little interruption. But he does these paintings where he just has color and words. He uses different fonts sometimes. Let me see, let me back up. Yep, I love his work. He's my all-time favorite. Here it is. Japan is America. Honey, I twisted through more damn traffic to get here. Anyway, if you're not familiar with his work, it's very, very good. Again, I'm not going to go into it too detailed, but this was inspired by that. And it was a lot of fun to do. Ignore this next page because it's a really bad drawing of a heart. This is a result of 2 seconds. So this was a result of this heart, because this heart didn't turn out anything like I wanted to. 10-minute drawing, completely sucked. So in my frustration, I was like, well, I'm going to draw something else that won't suck. And so I took this Polaroid, it's Instax, this Fuji Instax that I took at the park the day of, and I decided to sit down and do a pen and ink version of it. And it turned out really well, and people like it, and so do I. So I did it again. You'll see it again later. This is an ostrich skydiving out of an airplane because I didn't have any idea what to do this day, and my son gave me this idea, and so I drew it. At the same time he gave me this idea, he gave me that idea of a penguin doing the same thing, so I drew a penguin. But the first time I drew the penguin, he was gonna die because he forgot his parachute. So I gave him his parachute so he would live. Little daredevil penguin. Here is a rough sketch of Spider-Man that I did as a part of a giveaway. I asked people to tell me their favorite Avenger because I can't wait for Infinity War to come out. And They did, and I drew it for them, for those that won. Really, for those that participated, because, anyway, I don't know. There is Agent Carter, another Avenger that someone named as their favorite. This is a guy in space looking at art through space in real time. I don't know. You know me, I love Star Wars. This is the second Fuji and Stacks drawing that I did. I'll give you this guy for reference. So here he is. And then, yeah, 10-minute drawing. Drew it from that. Super cool. Again, a lot of fun to draw. Here is this one, some pansies. So there's the photograph of the pansies, and then there's the actual drawing of the pansies. And this one is actually going to a good friend of mine. She was really, she really loved it, so she gets it. Anyway, I'm going to do this a lot more probably in my next sketchbook. Okay, so this is a great story. You know, sketchbooks, they have great stories. So I was babysitting a friend of mine's little girl, and so we were sitting at my desk because she knows that I draw, and she wanted to draw with me. And so we were drawing Captain America, but I had these colored Sharpies. And so she would give me whatever color Sharpie, and I would draw him until she took it out of my hand and gave me the next color she wanted me to draw with. And so we would just switch colors, like whenever she felt like I needed to change it up. So we were changing it up, and she would just give me a different color the whole time. And so the result is little awesome Technicolor Captain America done in Sharpie. So anyway, it was fun to hang out with her and draw and come up with this crazy piece. This piece, actually, this little sketch has potential to be something really cool, which, you know, I might pursue one day. This is a picture of Lafitte's blacksmith bar in New Orleans, which I miss from time to time. Not the bar, but New Orleans. But this bar reminds me of New Orleans, and so I drew it. So there you have it. This is, we're getting towards the end. This is someone hitching a ride on a dandelion and waving bye to their home. There's a story there, but I don't know what it is. Maybe one of you guys could write it. This is a lotus blossom. I'm working on a mural for the city of Grand Prairie, and so lotus and water lilies and fish have been on the brain, and so when that happens, sometimes I'll tend to just do some sketches from the reference material that I've been looking at all day. And so this was one of those times. I don't really like it. It's not my favorite drawing. I don't really like it at all, but it's in here, and it gave me something to do. This, I do actually enjoy these drawings. This was from a Arts2 prompt, Flora and Fauna, and so I decided to draw the creatures and the plant life from the place that I grew up in South Louisiana. So you have your honeysuckle, you have your wisteria and a pine cone, and then you've got a tree frog who there was always 2 or 3 just chilling out on my windowsill every night. Brown pelican, wood duck. Anyway, that page ripped out. So sad. Sorry. Okay, so this was gonna be the last drawing, but it ended up not being the last drawing because I have 1 page left. But I liked where I was going with this. I was doing the trees. It was another 10-minute drawing, and I wanted to do my little campsite with my tent and my fire. So I drew the trees, and then I went back with a white gel pen and went over it. And the white gel pen is not opaque enough. And I wanted to do like some little scribbles here just to give it a little whimsical look, and it just, it sucked. It's not, the qualities, you could see through it. It was blending in to the black ink. Like it just wasn't, it wasn't to my liking. I was getting very frustrated because it wasn't turning out the way that I wanted it to turn out. So Anyway, so I quit. So, I didn't even work with it anymore. I just put it away and whatever. But the next day I came back, and then I drew a very cleaner version. I like the clean lines. Anyway, my point is like this is what was actually in my head. So I'm much more happier with this drawing than the other one. Sometimes it doesn't always happen for you, So you do what you do. But anyway, so I redrew it. this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted it to look like. So super happy with that little 10-minute sketch. And now we arrive at the end of my sketchbook tour. So yeah, so that's that. Yeah, nothing else to say right here at the end of my little video. I could be like a big nerd and be like, hey, subscribe below, leave nice comments, share with your friends, tell everybody about it. But, you know, it is what it is. This is the first time I really kind of got on YouTube and talked to you guys. So I can't really speak to what this channel is going to be about, but it'll always be related to my art and my art adventures. So just stay tuned, check back, I'd appreciate it. And thanks for watching. Bye.